the story grows, I'm Brian Patton. Today we welcome back Dead Tired guitarist Franz Stefanik to the podcast. Dead Tired will release Hornets To Fall next Friday, August 14th on New Damage Records. Franz talks about why Dead Tired took 4 years to release new music, how the band dynamics changed the sonic landscape of Dead Tired's sound, stepping away from being the band's visual creator on this album, and more. Hornets To Fall is an evolution for Dead Tired. Satan Will Follow You Home was one of my favorite records of 2022. It was a mix of hardcore and sludge metal, and it was the sludgy moments on tracks like the album opener, Predatory Loans, and the title track that were the real standouts for me. When I hit play on Hornets for the first time, I was not prepared for the ferocity in which the album kicks off. Edge of Entropy, which you'll hear a clip of shortly, is a monstrous hardcore song that instantly lets you know you're in for something more intense and energetic than Satan was. Gray Business kicks in with the same hardcore energy. It feels akin to a band like Comeback Kid, whose Andrew Newfield does make an appearance on this album, but it's the second half of this track that taps into something more interesting, with the song mellowing out and building slowly into a car crash ending. Dust Storm is a highlight track for me, as the back half of the track feels like it's pulling inspiration from bands like AFI and Emery, and the post-hardcore emo-core boom with its tapping riff bridge before hitting you with an incredible hardcore breakdown. Promontory feels like the track that gets closest to the band's sludge metal moments while remaining hardcore, focused, and forward. I think the creative swings on this album work incredibly well, and the wait for Dead Tired to follow up Satan Will Follow You Home was worth it because the band delivered an album that will likely be on my favorite albums of the year list. And I think if you're a fan of hardcore, you will absolutely dig this record. In the show notes, I will leave a link to my first conversation with Franz, where he talks about getting into hardcore, becoming a tattoo artist, the origins of Dead Tired, and George's dream that inspired Satan Will Follow You Home. So if you're brand new to the band or the podcast and want to know more about Franz and Dead Tired, I highly recommend checking that episode out as well. Thanks so much for checking out this episode of As the Story Grows. If you're a brand new listener to the podcast, welcome. You can find links in our show notes or at asthestorygrows.com for our mailing list, our Discord server, and our Patreon page. Over on YouTube, VJC2270 left a comment on chapter 739 with Jai from The Hue. They said, I really enjoyed this interview. Thank you so much. Your questions were insightful, and Jaya's answers were very considered and interesting. It was a real treat for a diehard Who fan like me. Thanks for leaving that comment. If you leave a comment, I will read it on the podcast, whether that's on YouTube, whether that's on Apple, or anywhere else you get your podcast. Leave a comment, I'll read it on the podcast. Enjoy today's conversation with Franz from Dead Tired.
Loaded on vacuum, the ocean is boiling, the city's the place now, a shot for the words, we can, what we deserve, we can, what we deserve, to live in us, to live in fire, to live in
Hey.
Yo, what's going on?
Not much, man. How are you doing?
Good, how are you?
Doing great, man. Doing great. Excited to have you back on the show. Talk about
Oh,
this
yeah.
new record. Which anytime someone's back on to talk about the new record, I'm like, this could be an incredibly short conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like we've already done the work for like all of your backstory that I could just like paste that in.
Yeah.
It's good times. But I mean, in the music industry, 4 years can be an eternity. So
yeah.
what led to the time in between records other than like George is busy and like there's no pressure?
That was basically it. I mean, like, I don't know. We jam a lot.
Okay.
So it's just like compiling enough stuff to put on a record. And then, yeah, it's just like we get together, we hang out, we jam. Sometimes we like turn up to jam and we don't even end up jamming. So it's a combination of everyone's busy schedule and, you know, procrastination.
Yeah. Is it, I mean, do you guys I mean, maybe you personally, do you just not care? And it's just like the fun of being in a band, and when a record's done, it's done. And like,
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm definitely the person in the band who is like, guys, let's fucking go. Like, keep the ball rolling and stuff like that. Like, but I think it is nice just to like kind of take your time with stuff. And like, we all have jobs outside of playing in a band, and like even George and Theo, on top of having jobs outside of playing in this band, they have other bands that they're playing in. So
yeah,
it's nice to not have to add pressure, because then if you're adding pressure to all these other people to try and make something, it's like, I don't know, it becomes less fun.
yeah, for sure. When you guys, I mean, how does this writing process work organically? Because to my ears, this record is taking a lot of different chances than Satan Will Follow You Home.
Yeah.
It's more pushing the boundaries creatively. So what's the process like for writing and kind of in compiling to make it feel cohesive?
I mean, this is the first, like when we recorded Satan, it was me and Marco recording to like a click track during the pandemic. This is the first record we've kind of written cohesive. Like Theo joined the band after Satan was recorded, and like post pandemic, like we started jamming, and then we started playing shows again. So this is the first record we've all written as like a band kind of together. Mm-hmm. So I think like even throughout the record, you can, I don't know, kind of, there's a lot of other input rather than just, last record, it was just me and Marco pretty much doing stuff. And like Nick contributed, but it was at such a weird time. And this, we actually like got to all be in a room together, threw out ideas, sometimes took those thrown out ideas and brought them back in. So like, I don't know, it was a lot more fun doing it this way. And like, I've never jammed with like a drummer before who's had creative input in a way that's beyond just playing to what's already there. So that was also fun.
Nice. Does that kind of lead to a variation in sonic, I don't know, structure, or were there things you knew you wanted to try differently, or just kind of come up and were just like unafraid to take creative risks?
Yeah, like no idea is really a stupid idea until you try it in this band. And like the beauty of like, we're at our jam space right now, and across the hall is our recording studio that Marco runs. So once you have all the meat and potatoes of a song recorded, that's where all the fun stuff, like, we would add stuff and more ideas emerged. And then, I'd message Marco. I'd be like, yo, you got 3 hours tonight. We could go back in and record some stuff. So I think that's where a lot of kind of just like the trying shit out works. And then he'd upload stuff to a Dropbox to like just do a loose mix of it. And then you can like palette it and see what works and doesn't.
Yeah. Cause like to my ears, I put the record on immediately, and Edge of Entropy comes on, and it punches you in the face. And it's like, okay, like Predatory Loans was like heavy in a sludge way. And it was more like a repetitive buildup. Maybe, arguably, maybe not the best as an opening track, but like, this, as soon as like we started having all the songs together, that was the immediate first pick where we're like, let's just like, right to the teeth off the hop. Yeah. And you do that. And even like, Gray Business hits you that same way. But then that track kind of opens up and like,
there's like some breathing room in between. And then people, hopefully start realizing like, oh, this isn't just a nuts to butts record. There's a little.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think like for me, the song I found most interesting was like Dust Storm, which has that like, I don't know, bridge refrain part at the end. That's like the AFI tapping rip. Like the tremolo picking. And you're like, okay, this is like some super cool, like mid 2000s, like post hardcore.
Yeah.
And
throwback.
Then you hit him with the hardcore breakdown to close the
track just out. Close it out.
Yeah. It's like, it's super cool.
A friend of ours said that is Dead Tires Unforgiven.
Yeah, for sure. Because even like the top of the record and the end of the record, like the open and close are just like, we're gonna punch you in the face. And
yeah, that was another thing. Like we already knew the sandwich. Like we knew the first song and we knew the last song. So it was just everything in between and just trying to find a right like pace of flow throughout it.
Yeah. Yeah. Hornets of Fall, where'd that title come from? I know it's a track on the album, but what led to that title?
That's a George Pettit driven question.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's done a couple of written interviews for like the record coming out. So I wish I knew more about where it was the origin of it, but we wrote it and that was stamped as the title. So
yeah, I know like Satan Will Follow You Home had this big backstory about this dream, and that kind of was so there's nothing like that to your knowledge in the same way, or
I don't think it's dream related. It's probably more of state of earth related.
Yeah. Is that kind of where George was coming from lyrically, or do you just not know?
I mean, from what I gather throughout this record, a lot of it is like touches based on the current state of world affairs, and whether it's human made or the force of nature itself. I think that is sewn in throughout the record.
Yeah. With the album artwork, it's a big creative kind of shift for the visual of the band. Who came up with the concept for the artwork?
George came up with the idea, and then like I've just always been the art guy in the band, which is fine. Like I have no problem doing it, but there's something nice about getting artwork done as a fan of art where like I get excited for it. It's the same like I tattoo for a full-time living. When I go get tattoos, I have a pretty good idea of how I would execute it, and then I'm like, okay, yeah, that's cool. But it's nice when you throw around an idea and then you get someone else to do it, and then the whole band gets to like cohesively be stoked on it. And a friend of mine, Matt Ryan, he did the artwork, and as soon as George threw the idea, I was like, guys, I think I'm going to sit this one out. I'm like, I want to be stoked with you guys, and I know just the person to do it.
Yeah.
And it's nice to have it's nice to have like a different, like we've had such a look for the past bunch of records that like, I don't know, this is the first record with all of it, like new lineup. First time we wrote stuff cohesively as a band. I was like, why not, just go full in? And it's like, let's switch the art up completely.
Yeah. And then like, you don't have to feel the pressure of like, hopefully they like it, and you're actually the
totally.
vision, and nobody has to be like, now we got to be a dick to our friend because it sucks.
Yeah.
Right?
But he sent the draft to me, and he was like, do you want any revisions? And I was like, no. I was like, it's sick. I'm like, I'm stoked if you're stoked. And he's like, I wish every person was as easygoing as that, because I'm sure like I do art for people all the time, and they're like, oh, that's amazing, but and then back to the drawing board, and then like. So it was a very easy, quick process for everyone, and then we got cool art out of it too.
Yeah, it's really sick. Album's out August 14th. I mean, what's kind of the plan for shows and touring, because everybody's got jobs and lives?
We started mapping out our schedule now. I was saying earlier, we got like a time tree calendar that everyone submits their availability. But we're planning some shows shortly after the record comes out. And then in the midst of that, we're king of jumping on shows. So we'll do a little bit of that. And then even just trying to sort out everyone, like there's a couple of people who already have work visas. So like if we get a handful of, who knows what we can do and hop on, and if it's fun and worthwhile, mostly just fun. We'd be down to do it.
Yeah.
Schedule's permitted.
Kind of yeah. It's kind of a no pressure band where it's like, it'll be fun to play shows, but like whatever, we did the record, it's cool as hell. Like
if there's like an amazing restaurant or bar close to the venue, it's like there's a 98% chance that we'll probably play the show.